Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today with Gloucester Times reporters Stephen Hagan and Ethan Forman. Hi, you guys.
Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
All right, let's jump right in. Stephen, what's happening in your world these days?
My world, Rockport, Essex, and Manchester by the Sea. First of all, three or four things. This is a story I'm going to submit later today. It's the Rockport school budget. It's out. It's $16.7 million. There's a shortfall of $320,000 that the school department had to deal with because of a rising cost of special education fees and also the rising cost of fuel. It's pretty standard. Praise to the new superintendent, Dr. I cannot think of his name right now. I just talked to him yesterday. So I'm going to have that story filing today. Also, I'm working on a story on the Manchester call station. They have outsourced their call operations to the Middleton. It's called the North Shore Regional 911 Call Center. And I'm just looking at how operations are going. They started this last summer, and I want to see what the status of that is right now. Ethan and I are both working on whether or not police departments, local safety people are accommodating for this cold snap that's coming up tomorrow into Saturday. We want to find out if they're having any warming stations or any kind of provision to get people inside that might need heat, because it's going to be pretty cold tomorrow night. I've heard it's going to be about 10 below.
Right.
So that's
Have you found that yet in your stories?
Pardon me?
Any response from the emergency service?
I just started that.
Right.
The
Rockport station. What's going on? Give us some updates.
Well, it's a pretty dirty story, but trying to get away from the joking. Well, the good news is, I mean, there were 700,000 gallons. The bad news is there were 700,000 gallons of sewage that went into Rockport Harbor when this happened. It was stopped, and so basically they had to in Rockport, the DPW, they had to make repairs to the pump station, a new control panel. They've already gotten it, and I heard from Mitch Vieira, Town Administrator Mitch Vieira yesterday. Said that the overall cost of the repairs, the hiring of the trucks to remove the sludge, about $200,000. So,
and what are the implications for that 700,000 gallons of sewage?
The main implication is that the Mass Department of Fisheries, their formal name escapes me right now, they shut down the shellfish areas off Rockport for several weeks. I can't recall off the top of my head how many weeks, but shellfish fishermen can't do anything for a few weeks.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't want to be living right next to downtown Rockport's harbor. And is there any smell? Is there any sort of issue?
Well, I went down there on Friday when it was happening. That was part of the story. You couldn't get downtown to Dock Square because the police had cordoned off the area. But I parked outside and walked down, and I'm sure if I'd gone down into the pump station, I would have smelled something. But I didn't notice anything in the outside area of the dock area.
Well,
and one last thing I'd like to talk about, a story that ran today. Essex, this is not a news story, but it's just basically an update. Essex, the planning board, the selectmen, and the Mass MAPC, the Mass Area Planning Council. Thank you very much. They have been working together. You're so good. They've been working together to plan a potential zoning article at town meeting in Essex. Could be spring. MAPC says it might be in the fall. Regardless, they want to attack. The problem they have in Essex is it's one of the few communities in Massachusetts that only has essentially they only have a single zoning district. So in other words, if you're in a residential district, well, there is only the one district.
All residential and it's all commercial, right?
It's all the same. So the problem, it hasn't, I mean, I don't know how bad it is for any of the homeowners, but the potential is that commercial development can be created in neighborhoods, like with just homes. And they don't really have any guidelines to address that. So they're trying to attend to that. But the planning board chair, Lisa O'Donnell, she told me that what they're going to do is they're going to do it in a piecemeal fashion. They don't want to like have one big measure at town meeting, which would be pretty challenging for all the voters to absorb everything. So they're going to take it one step at a time. What that means, or if there will be an article, I can't say, but that's the plan. One quick thing I wanted to mention, I didn't mention, also staying in Essex, the federal government through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the funding is in place. They're going to start a dredging project in the Essex River. That project should start between October of this coming fall and February. The reason they want to do it in the off season is because there's not that much boating at that time.
And
so
what's the purpose of dredging?
Dredging.
What's the purpose?
To make the river more navigable for not only pleasure boaters, but emergency responders. Right now, what's happening, the river is shoaling, or shoals have been created, sand buildup, and it's just it's difficult in some cases to get around. So that slows not only pleasure boaters, but the fire department when they're trying to get to an accident or a disabled boater, they're having trouble getting around with it right now. So that's it.
Great. Well, thank you so much. That was a lot.
You're very well. Hey, anything for Heather Atwood.
You're the best, Stephen. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm just being nice.
No, you are. So Ethan, you're up next. There is some activity on Gloucester's Board of Health.
I thought you were going to talk about the cut bridge after with the segue into the dredging.
That would have been a good segue.
But let's talk about the seaport for a second. And hold on. We're sitting next to each other. You can't really tell. You think we're like in two different bureaus.
Yeah.
But we're right next to each other. We get a little bit of bounce back. But anyway, so the Gloucester's without a health director. Their health director since about 5 months ago, Mary Ellen Rose, is no longer working, terminated. She says she was fired. She said she was given the opportunity to resign. I don't know why. I don't know the specific reasons why, but I did talk to her, and she did, talk about things that were in the department. It's stuff I really can't confirm independently, but she had some issues. And they've parted ways.
So, and she'd been there for 6 months. Is that right?
She'd been about 5 months. About her start date was about August 15th, and through January 9 was her last day. And she came and she had a very big resume. She'd worked, done consulting for the U.S. State Department, among others, Veterans Affairs, and she had a lot of publications as well. She had a very lengthy resume, very qualified person, Gloucester native, lives, resides in the city, and wanted to use her talents to help the board. Wish her well. I don't know why it didn't work out, but I think the upshot, besides any kind of back and forth or, pond road goings on, that's where the annex is located. Instead of that, maybe we just need to focus forward on the city is without a health director. The assistant health director resigned about a month into Mary Ellen's term.
Mhm.
And she was in the process of putting in place what she termed as an operations manager. And that's somebody she felt would maybe just run the department and not have that supervisory role. And yeah, so they don't have
So there's
an
no
assistant health director.
no assistant health director.
Yeah, there's no one to take up that role, but the chief administrative officer, Jill Cahill's filling in. Joe Rosa, the chairman of the Board of Health, longtime Board of Health member,
Mhm.
and there's some doctors on the board as well, and some. So, it's a vital department.
Yeah.
Think Title V inspections, think food inspections, COVID,
Yeah, we all got
flu
the health department.
shots, flu clinics. I think I guess they'll be able to. My opinion is they'll be able to muddle through. I don't know what the timing is of a new hire, so I'm going to check with the chairman, Joe Rosa, see what the timing is to bring someone on board, or how they plan to move forward. I think that's more the overriding issue for Gloucester is how to get this position up and running.
Okay. And the health director is appointed by the Board of Health, hired by the Board of Health?
Well, I think I think they do. Now, you're gonna get me on this. They did take a vote on her hiring, but the
Okay.
Board of Health serves at the pleasure of the mayor.
Mhm.
So it's a department head. It's not like a city or town that has an elected Board of Health.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so do you want to talk about the cut bridge now?
Oh, we had this great segue,
No.
but we missed it because we had this little nautical theme, and I was hoping you were going to pick up on it.
Yeah, I've got I'm after this.
But the cut bridge, right?
Yeah, I do.
Now you want to go somewhere. You want to go somewhere
Mhm.
off the island.
Mhm.
Where do you go? You got to go over, 128 over the API Andrew Bridge, or you have to go over the cut bridge. And what happens with the cut bridge? More often than not, if you go near it, it goes up.
Yeah.
You get stuck there. And sometimes it goes up or malfunctions. It's one of the busiest drawbridges on the East Coast.
Is it really?
Yeah, it averages like 7,300 openings a year. I went down there, it opened. I don't know, it just opened.
Oh,
It's a really cool thing. Actually, if you ever go down there and you look at the cut and you see the granite walls and you see the mechanism going up and down, it's not an insignificant bridge. It's a small bridge, but it's quite significant. Now, it has two impacts on this. If there's bridge work, one on the cars getting back and forth. Cars can obviously go around.
Mhm.
All right, it's inconvenient, but you can't get around.
Mhm.
But the boaters, you got to keep that channel open. So probably the work is about 5 to 10 years out. The estimate right now is $56 million for that little bridge. So, but it'll probably be that work will probably, I'm guessing, will go on for a while because you can't do it during the, height of the boating season.
Right.
You have to keep the channel, open. There's a couple of the Chad Johnson, the harbor master, was saying there's a couple of marinas on the north side there, and also the Coast Guard. So you have a problem rescue on the Annisquam. You have to go all the way around.
Yeah.
So this is a vital link for Gloucester. It always has been. It was there before I believe it was there before the API and Andrew Bridge. Dates back to 1907. So that was the only way. How did you get your car on the island beforehand? Maybe people could blame Route 128 for its development as a bigger city, because now you had the highway to go, get on and off, and you could bring the tourists. So Gloucester's not as isolated, but we'll see what happens. So let's spin this forward to the meeting on February 23rd from 6:30 to 8 p.m. If you go to our paper, gloucestertimes.com, you'll see a link to that meeting. It's a virtual meeting. They're not coming to Gloucester, but they're going to do a virtual meeting. I'll be covering it. Senator Tarr has also talked about this as a vital project.
Who's running the meeting? Ethan?
That's MassDOT, the
Oh,
Highway Division.
transportation. Okay, so is there anything, have you read anything that accounts for this $56 million?
It costs a lot of money.
I mean, that seems like a lot of money. Or
I mean, I think relatively speaking, it's probably where you would see a project like this. It's not an insignificant bridge. It seems like it's small. Go down there and take a look. There, the drawbridge that we just replaced over here, the
railroad.
the Annisquam Bridge. So that's the other way on and off. Take the train. Just get on the Gloucester station and take. If you're a pedestrian, that's the only other way you're going to get. If you're a pedestrian, that's probably the only way you're going to get around.
Yeah. Right.
So no, that was $100 million. Now this, I mean, I'm projecting here. I don't have it. They'd have to do maybe you have to do a temporary bridge, or what kind of engineering feat they have to do it when maybe they replace one side first and then they replace the other side. There's a lot of phasing. You're talking about 5 to 10 years out. So I imagine there's some construction escalation in there. The engineering on this is going to be significant, and the permitting is going to be significant.
Yeah,
I imagine the Army Corps of Engineers is going to have to be in on this.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Are they going to widen it? Are they going to move it? I mean, if you try to build a bridge over, that could have a big impact on Western Avenue and Stacy Boulevard. So there's a lot of ifs. And I think what this meeting is going to do is just trying to sort of set the stage, let people know this is coming.
Okay. Okay, great. And that's a public meeting and people can find the link in the paper, right?
There's a link in the paper, mass.gov, mass./ oh, no, I'm not going to give you that thing. But if you look at Wednesday's paper, and if you go online, you can find the story under our news link. And I give links to the meetings. And so it's going to be a significant project. It's probably going to be one of the most talked about projects in the next decade, because that bridge is a vital link for everyone.
Right. So interesting. Okay. So do you want to talk about the high school and flooding and trying to solve that problem?
Well, this is another project that's been a long time coming. We actually had a letter into the paper from somebody who said in the 90s, a teacher had warned about flooding at the high school, and how right they were. People were not in the 90s, not too keen on climate change. It was just starting to happen. But we saw what happened in 2018 during a January storm. Residents had parked their cars in the high school lot only to have them flooded out. About 75 cars totaled, destroyed by seawater. And this is actually good news. City Council had to come in, provide extra funding. I think about $400,000 in additional funding. The project was, I think, first set to go, or the loan appropriation was in 2019. We had the COVID pandemic and all that stuff, but that project, that flood barrier project, is now going to be a reality. That last week they were doing temporary work, put down mats so that the large cranes and a large crane could come in and also deliver the sheet piles that are be pounded into the wall there. That's going to create this seawall. So a really cool project.
So that was in your story, what this wall will look like, and I was trying to understand it. So it's metal sheets?
Yeah, those corrugated metal sheets.
Yeah.
They kind of like they're not straight. They're kind of like this,
right? And
they're kind of waffly, but
and
not
that's
waffles.
Yeah,
they're gonna pound them in. It's to protect up to 13 feet flood elevation.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's not going to be 13 feet tall. It's probably going to go 5 feet off the ground, right at that at the existing seawall.
Okay, all right.
You're talking about flood elevation,
and that will be basically maybe like 2/3 of the way around the school.
No, it's along it's from the Dunfudgeon to the cut.
Okay. Wow.
It's just like a straight wall. So I don't think they're going all the way around now. There's one more barrier project that we all love to talk about at the Gloucester. We started with poop. We're going to end with poop. There's another project coming. The Gloucester wastewater control or pollution control facility, whatever they call it. The wastewater plant on Essex Avenue.
Yeah.
Which I actually got to tour with Seth Moulton last year. That was a highlight of my reporting experience, let me tell you. And it was a good thing most of that tour was outside. That's another thing. So anyway, That's gonna get a large flood barrier.
When did that
And that work, I don't know when that work is gonna be, this city council has also asked for additional money for this project with $4.2 million. Now, listen, if you're gonna sit there and say this is $3.5 million for the high school, $4.2 million for the flood control at the wastewater plant, and you're a taxpayer, you're gonna go, oh my God, no. Grants are paying for about 2/3 of these projects.
Oh, good, great.
And these are vital projects. You saw what happened at the high school, and look, you can't have your wastewater treatment plant flooded out, and that's gonna be all around that.
Whole perimeter.
Yeah, that's a much bigger,
And
slightly
is it
bigger
the
project.
same kind of corrugated metal wall?
There's gonna be, I think at the front will be a masonry wall,
Okay,
and then as you get around, you get the sheet pile.
okay.
Up back is a higher elevation so that they don't need to extend it up too high. And this is gonna be now, what's the implication for this? We talk about poop in Rockport. I'm sorry, Cape Ann viewers, but they are going to create a secondary wastewater treatment facility on Essex Avenue. It's $100 million, estimated $80 to $100 million project. And there's talk about tying in Rockport, Essex, and Manchester to this facility.
Right.
So there's studies being done. There was money in the state budget to look at this. So this wall, the implications of it are it's going to could protect a sewage treatment plant, a modern sewage treatment plant for the entire of Cape Ann.
Okay.
How's that?
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure on that wall.
Yeah.
A lot of responsibility.
They don't call it a wall. They want to call it a flood barrier.
Flood barrier. Okay, that's what we should be saying. Flood barriers. Okay. All right. Well, before we run out of time, anything else anyone wants to catch us up on?
No, we're talking about warming stations in Gloucester. The senior center is going to be open extended hours, the library and the police station lobby. If you need to come in and out of the cold, it's open 24/7.
Oh, that's good to know.
So
Okay.
yeah, so it's a short cold snap, but everyone just keep warm, keep safe.
Yeah, great. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Stay warm. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Heather.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.